Welcome. These will be my thoughts on Star Wars Vision Season 3, Episode 8, The Bird of Paradise. The episode is rated TV-PG, so will this video be? There will be spoilers for the episode, and maybe everything Star Wars leading up to it. We'll see. And another episode that I absolutely loved. So I appreciated how much of this was, these spiritual trials. Fairly little of it was stuff that was, 100% like, let's see, what's happening only physically and not like spiritually. And yeah, I appreciate the, incredibly cool lightsaber battle at the start. It's, let's see, I think the, yeah, we see basically immediately through the fight. It's great when you can convey character through an action scene. Yeah, she's impulsive. Let's see, and yeah, she lists her negative traits near the end of the episode. I don't have to. We see them on full display here in the battle at the start, and over the course of the episode, we see more. For example, there's the repeated refrain of "Why is this happening to me?" She keeps focusing on that. Like hypothetically, she's not saying, it's okay, I know my master will be able to defeat the Sith. She's focused more on herself. And yeah, I thought it worked well, the thing with the, multiple days, and each of them has one specific quality imbued into it, and maybe a few words of wisdom. A few words, anyway. And the let's see. I'm just saying, I didn't notice if they were all like wise words, or some of them were just like neutral, descriptive ones. Yeah, the let's see. Um, I guess that pretty much. Um, let's see. So she finds her lightsaber and it's broken, and the just I guess let's see. There's the I really love the way that so she loses her sight and she starts she's seeing things in this like basically she's sensing where things are with other senses. It's like she has a fifth sense, and the way that was visualized I thought worked really well. And I think that pretty much brings us to the so because she's not being careful enough, she doesn't just step into water. She it's clearly not deep immediately, but she's in too much of a hurry to stop and think, wait, is this, might I fall into something, if and she drinks some, but then that also, she says foul water, so there was something wrong with it, which is of course, the yeah, if you're like a Cub Scout or something, they'll teach you, don't eat and drink just anything you find in nature. And let's see, I think does that more or less bring us to the... let's see. We have the... yeah, she meets Mr. Toad, fresh from his wild ride, and I really love the design of, like, just the way that it moves, and also just the voice and the words, just really fun little character. And the fact that the Sith, the Sith seems right. I guess okay. Yeah. So the waterfall thing. I thought they did a really solid job of, like, the exact moment that she goes from complaining about things to just accepting and going with the way of things. And obviously that's an extremely important thing to learn, to master for life. There's a lot of things we sadly can't change. It's that thing about, like, finding out which things you can change and making sure to fight to change those. There are systems that we have to, where we shouldn't go with the flow, where we should try to change things, but then there are things that we just can't change. And let's see, I guess that pretty much brings us to the way that the Sith ends up being, like, an extension of her. I will say, when they said, have I been dead all along, I was thinking, the that was going to turn out to be, like, because I'm I'm not entirely sure that's... yeah, I'm not gonna pretend like I fully understand. If as I guess no, I'm just gonna leave that there. I was expecting it to do the Hollywood thing of, like, near the end of the episode, it would show, for sure she, because, like, you could believe that she died from that fall. And when she started looking a lot like the Sith, and then she referred to the Sith as an extension of her, her negative traits, I thought maybe the entire episode was going to turn out to have been, in her head, like a test that her master was doing to see if she was ready to wield a lightsaber out in the world or something. But that also wasn't... yeah. But that was a really great... the way that the Sith kept provoking her verbally and physically. And, by the end, she was not really defending herself, and she did just let and she explained, oh, you're my negative traits, and she lists them. And, you know, it's it's good to every so often have a story that reminds us, the big difference between Jedi and Sith are the what's the word? It is these emotional things. It is whether or not, the whether or not you give in to your negative emotions and such. And let's see, we have I guess that pretty much covers it. Yeah, I thought they did a really great job on the visual of, she's getting these dark, like her face starts to change to reflect the darkness, and then she lets it go, and there's this green light that seems to sort of heal her face, or return it to its previous state, and they both, seem to just disappear into light. Also love the bit with the flames. That was also a really cool visual, and yeah, I think that does cover it for this one. I really appreciated an episode that, like, because we've heard so much about the Force, but a lot of the time it's not really visualized, and I do appreciate, I'm not sure Lucas wanted it visualized, at least in the original trilogy, but the I guess not really in the prequels either. But yeah, the what's the word? I think sometimes it's very effective to have a clear visual for something that is not meant to be completely physical. And certainly, yeah, she's temporary. At least, I guess I don't know if it's temporary. She's blinded because of the you know events, and so it becomes visual. Yeah, the yes, looking forward to the last two episodes of the season, and yeah, um, I quite appreciated when she is going up to the what's it called? There's the um, she finds a statue, though she doesn't realize immediately that that's what it is. She at first thinks it's person, man, woman, camera, TV.